On that comment, the Tuesday, November 12th, 2019 Village Board meeting, and I will ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Okay, Trustee Bingham.
Present.
Trustee Duncan.
Here.
Trustee Grundon. Here. Trustee Mansell. Here. Trustee Mitchell. Here. Trustee Saylor.
Here. Okay, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, and since we're one day, we're in the Veterans Day week, we'll have a moment of silence and thanksgiving for all of our veterans who served our country well.
Thank you.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. The chair will entertain a motion and without objection to approve the minutes of the October 8th, 2019 and October 24th, 2019 board meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
Trustee Mitchell motion, trustee Grundon second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Okay, public comments. I guess no one wants to speak, so we'll go into the president's report. The only thing I have is from Dwayne. So this will be for the, hopefully enough people will be watching on Wisconsin Rapids Community Media Channel. It's on November 19th at 5 p.m. at the Municipal Center. The Village of Port Edwards seeks to include input from its citizens in the long-range planning of the community. The following opportunities will be provided to allow citizens to provide comments on the amendment of the future land use designation of the village property located on the north end of 6th Street. Mr. Administrator, anything you have to add to that?
No, I just want to make sure it's publicly announced.
Okay, so done. I mean, so whatever. Alrighty, we'll move right into committee reports. The airport, there's still, the big item out there is the new hangar that the airport is putting up and possible annexation of land in Grand Rapids to accommodate it for the services that will be needed in the hangar. The meetings were changed from Thursday afternoons at 4 to Thursday mornings at 8, and it was probably just ironic, but of course all the commissioners were there, but the crowd wasn't. Usually they have about 10 or 15 people show up at the meeting, so probably forgot about that first change. Okay, I'm finished. Moving on to Chairman Stewart, Police and Fire Commission.
Thanks. Police and Fire Commission held our last regular meeting last night, November 11th at 6:30. We had also met on October 21st to conduct final police officer candidate interviews. 4 candidates were interviewed in this phase, 2 of which were selected to be placed on the police hire eligibility list. These 2 candidates joined the list with 3 other candidates who had been qualified during an earlier testing phase. This eligibility list was presented to Chief Drew for his consideration to fill an open budget full-time position. During our meeting last night, Chief Drew indicated that he had chosen Brandon Abbott from this list, and the commission subsequently passed a motion appointing Brandon to the position pending successful psych exam. He had already had his medical exam. Fire Chief Arndt presented the commission with a summary of background of several fire department associate members. Arrangements were made for the fire department's health, safety, personnel, and membership committee, as well as the police and fire commission, to conduct interviews with these candidates. Probably be done within the next couple weeks. That's all I had. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for December 2nd at 6:30 to Municipal Building. Are there any questions I can answer for anyone?
Anybody have anything for Chairman Stewart?
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, Chairman Mitchell. The CERT committee, please.
Yes, sir. Our last meeting was October 22nd. We obviously approved the previous month's minutes. We had a discussion and possible action on the sewer backup exposure reduction program. And I am putting forth, I'll wait until the end, never mind. We also had a discussion about Fifth Street and the no parking areas, and you probably heard Scott and I discussing in front of everybody that we're going to be looking at that in more detail. So we kind of started that process, and he will be moving forward. And he'll be working with Ben Martinson also on that, so. Okay, we had a discussion on the urban group, which Betsy has been kind of our contact person for that. It's a group formed of regional people, and I think President Zerflu attended the meeting for that. Also trying to gather us together to have signs that are the same for trails and locations or whatever from each of the municipalities up the river and down both. So, and Ben Martinson went over his CIP 5-year plan, and we looked at projects and equipment that needed to be included, and he had done a very good job of sorting out all of those things and putting them in the order in which we need to purchase and or begin projects in whatever year in that 5-year plan. So we looked at that. We also talked about well number 5, which, and we had agreed, it had, well, I should back up a little bit. It had, the filter is not working correctly, and Ben, chime in if there's something I'm not telling correctly about this. The filter's not working correctly, and too much of the iron is going into the water when we have to use it. So we're going to do a $4,000 inspection of it, and we will probably need to buy a new filter. We will need to buy a new filter, which is probably going to be somewhere between $22,000 and $25,000. So I was prepared for that, and then we had a report on the general works of Public Works. Anything else? I think that was pretty much it from the meeting. So I will move to adopt the sewer backup reduction program so that it also is reflected in our policies and ordinances.
Second?
Second.
Second by trustee Mansell. Is there any discussion on the motion? Ben, feel free if they have questions about the backup plan, some probably don't know much about it.
Has there been this disseminated for, is it just, so what does that, what is it, the policy and ordinance?
So right now, we don't have anything, so if a homeowner's sewer backs up, our ordinance reads we have to maintain sewer to everybody's houses from the road, from the middle of the road, where their sewer line in their road is. We have to maintain that, so everybody with sewer runs from their house to the main. If there's issues with that, it's actually the homeowner's responsibility. So this right now will give us if somebody calls us and says, I have a sewer issue in their house, we can go out and we actually have documentation that says our main is free and clear, so it's from your house to the main, and it's basically written policy.
I understand that part, but is there a document for us to look at?
Yeah, there was a 27-page email that got sent out.
I think
Was it all board members? I must have missed that.
This was like 2 months ago, I think.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay, I'm with you now, thank you.
It's in detail.
Dwayne, do you have anything to add?
No, my opinion is that something that this village should have in their policies based on other communities. It's very proactive.
Any other questions, discussion? Hearing no request, All those in favor of the adoption of the sewer backup reduction program in policy and ordinance will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Anything else, Chairman Mitchell?
No, that's all for Circ. Nothing more.
Alrighty, Chairman Bingham, Planning, or Pit Committee, Planning, Property, and Information Technology.
Thank you, Mr. President. We met on October 22nd. One item you've already heard about, the Planning Commission meeting to rezone the property on the end of 6th Street to consummate that sale. That will be on the 19th, as you've heard, and I'll be chairing that meeting. So we're looking forward to getting that done and completing that sale. Had a discussion on a building permit with Justin Green, kind of appealing, or not really appealing, but describing his experience and what he was going through. And it was very fruitful, I think, for both sides. First, he's not looking, we were trying to work with him, and he's working with us, feel very positive. He's not going to plan on doing anything till the spring. And so that will give us time to look at revising the ordinance for the future. So we'll be doing that at our next meeting. So those were the two major items at the PIC meeting. I'd ask that you approve those minutes.
Motion.
We changed it, now the committees approve their own minutes, like you'll approve them next month.
Oh, so we don't have to approve anything, so we're done. Okay, I'm sorry, yeah, I forgot about that. Okay,
You
thank
didn't
you,
know.
that's it, that's all the highlights.
Okay, questions for Chairman Bingham on anything? No? Okay, Chairman Grundon, Public Safety.
We had our meeting November 5th, called to order at 5 o'clock. Betsy had an excused absence, she had a sick kid. We had our reports from the chief of the fire department and the police chief. The highlight of our meeting that seems to be the topic of information and conversation. We discussed and we have a motion to offer full-time position to candidate at $20 an hour, including 3 weeks of vacation, 320 hours of sick time. There will be a 6-month probationary period to potentially be reviewed by Chief Drew within 90 days. Chief Drew can recommend the probationary period end at any time and wages be adjusted accordingly. And I would make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Grundon, second by Vice President Duncan. On the motion as read, I will open up discussion without objection, free and open, so speak as you will.
Mr. President, I have exception with granting 3 weeks vacation and 320 hours of sick time to a new employee. New labor employees start at 0 sick time and start at 1 week vacation after 1 year, 2 weeks vacation after 3 years, and up to a total of 5 weeks vacation after 18 years. So we're basically taking a new employee and giving them sick leave, unearned, and giving them 3 weeks vacation, which takes our other hourly employees 3 years to earn. I take exception to that. I think the position should start at 1 week vacation and you earn your sick leave as you go forward. I think we're setting a dangerous precedent for hourly employees if we're cherry picking benefits in the village.
Discussion?
I don't think that we're not setting a precedent. The precedent has been set. We're following the precedent. I agree.
Can I ask who the precedent has been set with?
From what I have, it started back, the first one that I know of, February 2015, 310 hours sick leave and 2 weeks vacation. There was another one.
With who, Tiara?
We can't say that.
Well, if it's an administrator, I'm saying hourly. I'm not disputing
Right.
that.
And that was hourly. That was a full-time officer. Then after that, we had another one that was given 80 hours of sick time, and I don't know on the vacation on that one. So the thing, I agree with what you're saying in theory, and I think that we need to bring that to the FHR to look at those labor policies and make sure that they're,
I would ask that we table this motion then until the FHR looks at an hourly wage scale for the village, not for police, not for crew, not for office. That's where we're gonna get in trouble. I've never been in an organization that has multiple wages for similar type employees. It's not a good situation. So when you bring on this new officer, this other officer, what are we gonna offer him or her? Something different in benefits?
a policy that I would suggest that we create to affirm.
So the discussion has to end.
Yes.
According to parliamentary
I didn't
procedure.
catch him saying.
He
ask a motion.
moved to table, so that all
Okay, is there a
discussion
second,
ends,
is there a second to that
and we have to have a
motion?
second.
Thank you.
I'll repeat again. Do we have a second to Mr. Gringham's table? Second by trustee Saylor. Discussion.
There is no discussion other than, it's, basically, there's no discussion on the motion to table. So it's just a vote.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
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 And that tabling motion fails 4-3. Okay, now back to the discussion on the motion of the benefits, I'll use the word, for the new full-time officer.
So what we're saying, snow removal and pickup is not as important. So I just want the board to understand that they're saying that. You're saying, you're equating a police officer is more important, and they're important, don't get me wrong. Not a reflection on the person or the position, it's a reflection on what we're administering as a village. And I just can't agree with it. It's extreme.
No, it's not. It's-
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's reflecting the experience of the person of whom we're hiring.
Thank you for saying that. When we hired a street person from Pittsville with much experience, we gave him none of those benefits. None of those. He brought water experience, he brought street experience, that was not taken into consideration. Again, this position is being filled by a person with 8 years of police experience. To me, that's not extensive. He came from Doorworks. He didn't come from the police department. So we're creating a benefit package for somebody that really shouldn't get that. We should start with 0, you should earn your vacation and earn your sick leave, just like they do in the street department. I don't see a difference. And I think,
I have a question. Did the streets department employee ask?
we don't negotiate, you don't negotiate hourly benefits. I don't know why all of a sudden in the police department, we're doing that. We're gonna have
all of a sudden though,
Well, let's stop it then. Let's stop it. If it isn't all of a sudden, let's stop it because it's not a good situation.
What about the idea of supply and demand?
That doesn't carry any weight to me.
If we
So you're,
want-
yeah.
If we want to have a police department, there's not people standing in line for these jobs. There's not.
So let's pay him $40 an hour, give him 6 months of vacation. Is that what you're saying? You're gonna go to the highest bidder?
No,
The village cannot afford that. The village
They're
can't
also
afford it.
paying substantially less than the Nakusa.
They're not related. Salary is not related to the benefits. If you want to talk about salary, I'll talk about salary at a future meeting. I'm all for that. But you're not talking about salary. You're talking about, if you want to come back to FHR and say, let's raise the hourly rate, I would listen. Although I don't think you can compare us to Nakusa. Drive down Main Street, Nakusa. Okay? So, and a mill on Main Street. Don't use experience as a reason.
And let's take your position, John, and let's just do what you are suggesting. Let's just fold up the police
I
department.
didn't say
have
that.
The village.
I didn't say that. You said that.
If you
I did-
can't fund and you can't hire cops, where are you going to go with it?
So I would ask the chief,
Please,
so
let
this
me-
individual's not
I ask
coming
you
to
a
work.
question. If we cannot
okay.
get people to take these jobs, what do you
We
propose?
haven't tried. We haven't tried.
Okay.
We could do more recruiting. I can't believe somebody right out of the academy with a higher wage rate wouldn't come to work
I'm
for.
sure Barney Fife is available.
That's not respectful to the people coming out of the academy and the part-time people we've
You're having a
had.
hard time even getting people out of the academy to take the job.
I'm going to speak here and set the precedence in this historical feature of this. Back in 2005, I was asked the board to offer more benefits to an officer with 15 years' experience in the town of Rome. And the big thing was the sick time he had accumulated. And so I got the board to, it was 6 weeks, I got him to at least go 3 weeks back in 2005. So that's where it started. And I was the first one to ask the board for that. So it's not a precedent, but it's kind of like a variation from the rules, I suppose you'd call it, but the board approved it.
I'll just finish by saying, I've hired a lot of people with backgrounds, with experience. They've never, ever got credit for sick leave or vacation at their previous jobs. Never. And I disagree that we can't hire police officers starting at the same, at earning their sick leave. That, to me, that's ridiculous to say
It's a
that.
benefit that we don't have to pay out of pocket for. And when was the last time you hired?
When was the last time I hired? 2002.
Because I readily give sick days and vacation time to new hires because I have to in order to compete. And I've been doing that for the last 8 years.
8 weeks of sick time?
Not necessarily. I've given much more sick time than any of the other employees, but again, it's usually because I'm hiring somebody with a level of experience or a skill set that was required because I can't necessarily afford the cost.
So just what I'm
Out of
hearing
pocket.
is that when we hire future street crew, we're gonna negotiate with them on their benefits, which I don't agree with, but if I was them and if I was Ben Martinson, I would tell them to, because that's what we're doing with every single hourly employee, and that's not right.
Tara?
I wonder if it would be helpful, Scott, if you addressed your recruitment effort and how, are you guys doing everything you can? Where are we at?
Without objection? Go ahead.
It's frustrating for us and frankly, every police department in the country right now. There are not as many folks that want to be policemen, and the competition is pretty fierce when they do apply.
The competition to get them.
To get them to come and apply and to hire them before another town hires them away from us. That's actually what has happened with our current list. A couple of guys have already been hired by Rapids, and so when we call them and when we're ready for them on our eligibility list, we anticipate they're going to say, no, I'm going to stay where I am, notwithstanding the pay rate difference between us and Rapids is just an incredible amount of difference.
And it should be.
Yeah, I understand there's different levels. You're right, and it's different in different parts of the state. It's huge. You should see what they pay in Illinois. It's unbelievable. But the fact of the matter is, we do struggle with recruitment. We do hit every municipal magazine and state website that we can to recruit. We get applications, and I gotta tell you, I talked to the sheriff, and he got a little more than a dozen, and we ended up having like 8, and I thought, well, that's pretty good for us, but it just shows the competitive nature of trying to get people to fill these jobs. And the one thing that the commission decided is we're not going to lower our standards, and we want the best for this village, and we weren't going to take just anyone. That's why we eliminated some of our candidates. We felt they didn't rise to the level that we wanted them to be. So that's our situation.
Mr. President, would it be all right for Chief Drew to present what we're looking at?
Without objection?
I object.
Okay, sorry. Okay, any other discussion by board members?
I would just like to know where the 320 number came from.
40-hour work week.
It's 8 weeks of sick time.
Yeah. And
And then 3 weeks vacation, that's 11 weeks.
yeah, I don't know where the exact number came from, but honestly, as compared to in February of 2015, 310 hours, it's comparable to what the board has been doing.
Well, that's fine.
But that's comparing a person that had 15 years' experience to this new person has 8? No?
Eight is my understanding.
My understanding
Nine,
is...
8 to 9.
We're not talking about the same employee.
Okay, fine.
So my understanding, yeah, 8 years back then. So my
15
understanding...
years back then.
What? No, it was 8. It was
Different
8.
employees.
So this officer has a degree in police science. He actually, it looks like, started in his law enforcement career in 2003. Albeit, I'm not implying for 1 second that it's been consistent all law enforcement, but there's experience here. And if we've got to look at providing a package that's going to pull people in, we don't have the same options in the police department. We don't have people burning down our door to come and do this job that people don't want to do anymore. That's the difference.
Who's going to stay longer? That person or a person, young person that settles in the community, lives in the community, and could be here for 20 years? I would say the young person who comes into the community.
Who do you
Where
want coming
where
showing
are
up?
they? Where are they, John? I've yet to see one young person. We had a young person on the department.
And we scared them away.
No,
So-
we didn't scare him away.
Yeah, we
He's my son's best friend. He left because he could go to the sheriff's department and make $5 an hour more almost immediately and have better benefits.
I have no problem with looking at the hourly rate. I'll say that again. I'm just looking at the benefits we're administering throughout the village, and it's good. That's it. I
Call
just
the
want to make it
question.
known.
Move for division. I want each person to vote
What we
individually.
have been asked to do is, if there is no more discussion, we're gonna have the roll call vote. Clerk will call the name and you'll vote either aye in favor of the motion, or you will vote nay against the motion. Do you understand? Everybody understand that? Okay, anybody wanna say anything else? John?
I'm not opposed to the position or the person.
Okay, thank you. It was a good discussion. I think it had to be said, and now we know where everybody stands, and it's time for Madam Clerk.
Can I say one more thing? We have 1, 2, 3 village workers that are probably looking at being gone in the next 2 to 5 years. So I think it sets a bad precedence at that amount of sick time. I understand that it's different, but it's going to be on paper that new hires for that position is getting this benefit package. Now we're going to have 3 new people that are going to come from wherever, and they're going to negotiate. We're going to be in the same boat again in 3 to 5 years, not for the police, hopefully, but for other issues. So that's all I guess.
One more thing. We as a board, as a new board, we did one of these. We affirmed one of these. I don't understand why we have this history here, and why are we here now today debating this so passionately? Why is the talk around the town so, why today? Where was the concern with these other ones? I don't get it.
What did we do?
Well, I can't say.
You recently did a chief, and that was the only full-time position that was hired.
No, we
since-
did a full-time police department position. And gave them 80 hours of sick time, and that was not an experienced officer. That was somebody we'd had part-time for a couple of years. So that's what we, as a new board, this body right here did. So, and nobody blinked an eye. So,
Okay. To use a phrase I heard many times in my younger days, last call. Anybody wish to say anything further? Hearing no requests to speak, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Bingham?
No.
Trustee Duncan?
Aye.
Trustee Grundon?
Yes.
Trustee Mansell?
Yes.
Trustee Mitchell?
Yes.
Trustee Saylor?
No.
President Zerflu?
Yes. And that should have been 5-2, so congratulations, Chief.
And that's all we have from our committee.
Okay, back to you, Chairman Mitchell, FHR.
FHR, yes, we've had many meetings and involving the budget and very good discussions in that as well. First meeting was on the 10th of October and we went into closed session to have conversation with police department staff, office staff, and public works foreman. So that's basically what happened in that meeting. And in the other, we also had a meeting on the 14th of October. We had, we went into closed session again to meet with the public works crew and closed session. So that was really basically what happened that day in that meeting. Now I've lost track. We had a meeting on the 7th. Budgets have continued to be part of the, to be practically the only topic of conversation other than talking about bills and journal entries and passing those. So, having said that, I move that we approve payment of the bills.
Second.
Motion by trustee, or Chairman Mitchell, second by trustee Grundon to pay the bills. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I would also move to approve the journal entries of the previous month.
Motion by Chairman Mitchell,
Second.
second by Vice President Duncan to approve the last month's journal entries. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Only other comment, and Dwayne will be talking about this too. We're hoping to have a committee of the whole look at the budget. The finalized budget is going to be published later this week. So.
And since we brought that up, we'll get your input for that. And I'll go into it under when we set the meetings agenda. Okay, Mr. Vice President, do you have anything for a special
I will
point?
just indicate that we've had 2 closed sessions of the board as a whole with reports and information pertaining to projects assigned to the committee, and that we will be in communication with the attorney for the special projects issue, and specifically dealing with certain issues involving DMI. That's it. That's all I can convey.
Okay. Any questions for the Vice President on the matter? Okay, unfinished business from previous meetings. I have nothing. Anybody out there remember anything? I don't think we had anything stacked up and waiting. New business. Okay, and then we'll go to Dwayne, Village Administrator report.
Yes. I'm happy to report that a great time hunting. With an old friend in South Dakota.
Yeah, but I was really serious about those pheasants I seen around here
Yeah.
lately with shorter tail feathers.
I know. As always, I shoot and release program. That's what I have. Where the roosters can be left to multiply next year, so
There
that's
you
my
go.
program. The only thing I want to mention is that I wanted to let you know Diane has all the amounts in the 2020 budget has been acted upon by, which have been acted upon by the Finance Administration, Finance and Human Resource Committee, and Public Service Committee. And the next item on the agenda tonight would be setting December 3rd for a public hearing. I want to indicate to you folks as because of my limited time in Port Edwards, causing the budget process to last a little longer than you've had in the past, I'm recommending that council consider a committee of whole meeting next week on November 21st to allow the members of the board to go over the budget before hearing. Diane has provided copies of the budget for your review before the meeting on the 21st if we have one. For those who have not been in the budgetary meetings, the process, don't hesitate to contact Diane or myself about these papers in front of you so you can be involved. So that's my recommendation to the board and the village president when you set some of your meeting dates.
Anybody at the table want to respond to the administrator on that? Diane is in agreement with it. Anybody have any issues?
I'm just gonna ask one question. Did you give it time?
No, I did not, because I didn't know if we were going to get the time, and now it's been recommended date, but I have to make sure the whole council wants.
How about 5 o'clock?
We have a CERC meeting at 5 o'clock on that day.
21st? No, that's Thursday.
That's right, yeah, 21st.
Thursday, the
21st is a
26th.
Thursday.
That's the CERC meeting. We never set a CERC meeting for 21st, did we?
We,
On the minutes, it was the 21st.
yeah, I thought it was a week after. It's
It's
the last week
26th.
of November. Yeah.
We had, things got shifted
We're
around with
doing-
Thanksgiving.
We're
Right,
doing
that's what I
FHR
thought.
and CERC.
I want to know if there's a copy.
On the same night.
I don't like Thursday meeting myself.
Well, how is the 21st going to work for everybody?
When's CERC plan to meet?
Pardon?
When's CERC plan to meet?
Their meeting's at 5 o'clock on the 26th. I'll get to that later.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to set it for 5 o'clock. It's a special meeting. It'll be a one agenda item meeting, Mr.
Yes.
Village Administrator. Okay.
Special board meeting or no?
Well, the committee of the whole could actually, if there's something that the group as a whole does not agree with, can send it back to committee to be worked out.
But the time, because of the public hearing portion. And that's on the 3rd. I'm doing this so you folks would have an idea. If you want to make any changes, you do it after the public hearing. Because,
Yeah, we got so many days to do it.
right, public hearing will be noticed, 20 days, it's going to be noticed this week.
Right.
I want the board members who are not involved with the process, have a chance to look at the budget.
Which we've done in the past.
Right, now, here's the situation, when we find out that there's something in that area that you feel that you want to amend or change, you'll be doing that after your public hearing, because the public hearing will be posted, the agenda we have now, the budget we have now, coming on finance administration.
So that goes back then for another public hearing?
No, you misunderstand what I'm saying. Because we're at this point with the budget, and we have public hearing on it, and it's been published, and we have a document that is in front of you that we can give to the public to review. They'll have that document. When and if we go to a meeting on the 21st, and there's certain items that you think that you want to amend or change, you would do it after the public hearing, and then you have the public hearing, and then you have the chance as a village board to amend certain lines, and you amend your tax rate to that time. It's because we didn't have a chance to get the whole village board to meet prior to publication. That's why I'm looking for the committee of the whole to get a chance to see it.
So I must be misunderstanding, I apologize. So after the public hearing, we can still make changes?
Yes. We always
And we don't have to go back to the public?
No.
Public actually, it's not like a township, they can't make changes. It's more for their benefit and information.
They can say, I don't like that if you have, they can ask you to reduce or increase stuff. Then you have to, the meeting, you have as a village board
It's not-
authority to set the rate.
It's not like the school district, which is not unified and the public actually controls, can make changes.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I would suggest that we have the meeting on the 21st, then, as Dwayne suggests, at 5 o'clock. Can everybody make 5 o'clock? There's no, I don't think there's any reason to wait till 7.
So back to the question, is that a committee of the whole or a board meeting?
Committee of the whole, unless somebody has any dire need to have a special board meeting, but we'll save the village $70. just have a committee of the whole.
See, a committee of whole is for information process for your next meeting. That's why I suggested to you.
I do have one item of new business that I forgot to
Yes.
bring up.
Let's
If
back
we can
up.
go back. Historically, we have had the DNR come into Rapids, Port Edwards, and Nakusa for deer management, municipal deer management. Does anybody know what the situation is? Because I'm seeing just an absolute ton of deer
Yes,
in
they're
the
out there
village.
working, and the state dropped the ball early on, and they got a late start. In the village area, they have only shot 20 deer, and that includes the east side. Also, it reported that a resident has a huge corn pile out that is not legal. And that matter was turned over to the DNR to investigate, because can they still go on private lands without notice?
Oh, yeah.
That is why there's a lot of deer and hunters aren't seeing them.
Okay, well, I just was curious if there was, or if we needed to make a request, because
No.
I'm just noticing a lot of deer and they're becoming quite a nuisance.
And I've talked to Dan Hobbs, he's the director of multi-metro deer management. Works with Wayne Hall of the DNR, or Wayne, I think, is retired. Anyway, he works hand in hand with the DNR on that.
So, all right, so, thanks.
You bet. All right, that it, Dwayne?
That's it, sir.
All righty. Clerk Treasurer.
I'd like to ask for a motion to authorize a public hearing for the 2020 village budget as presented. The public hearing will be held on December 3rd, 2019 at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Yeah.
You be first,
Okay.
you be second.
Sorry,
Grundon Bingham, on the motion to approve as read. Any discussion?
Yeah.
What time is the meeting?
7 p.m. it's written. Discussion, no discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
And then I'd like to ask for a motion to move the December board meeting to December 3rd, 2019 for taxing purposes.
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Duncan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Grundon to move the December board meeting to the 3rd of December 2019 for taxing purposes. Discussion.
That's just right after that, right?
It is
Right
that.
after the public hearing.
Board meeting follows.
Oh,
So it started at 7.
Yeah, with the hearing, and then when that's over, we go right into the board meeting. Hearing no request to speak, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
that's it.
Okay, trustee comments. Okay, committee calendar. On Tuesday, November 19th at 5 p.m., the Plan Commission will meet in the municipal building, followed at 6 p.m. by the Planning, Legislative, Property, and Information Technology Committee at 6. On Monday, November 25th at 5 p.m. will be the Public Safety meeting in the municipal building. We're getting all crunched up because of the 4-day Thanksgiving break. Then on Thursday, November 1st at 5 p.m., the Committee of the Whole will meet in the municipal building.
21st.
21st, what? Wait, where are we?
Thursday, November 21st. That's in the municipal building. Tuesday, November 26th, 4 p.m., FHR Committee in the municipal building. Followed at 5 p.m. on November 26th in the municipal building for the CERC Committee.
I may be late.
Okay.
That was
Is that
4
what
and
time?
6.
6?
Presidents of the times for those.
FHR is
4 p.m. for FHR we set,
Okay.
and 5 p.m. for CERC. Monday, December 2nd, as read by Chairman Stewart, 6:30 p.m. Police and Fire Commission in the municipal building. And then, if all goes well, that will be the end of committee meetings in the municipal building. And they'll all be going over to the J. Marshall Beeler Center, or whatever, I don't think we ever did that. So, up through December 2nd, everything stays in the municipal building. And then anything now that we're gonna have in December for committee meetings will shift over. I was looking at maybe getting some of things started over there, but that'll be a lot of work for Marty and the boys to come to think of it, so. Just read the paper. Tuesday, December 3rd, at 7 o'clock, as Diane mentioned, will be the budget hearing. That will be in the Marshall Beeler Center. And then on Tuesday, December 3rd, following the budget hearing, will be the village board meeting. It'll be the first one in the Beeler Center. I think that's all I have. And we'll have to think, I'm thinking in January, just throwing this out for food for thought, we should have an official dedication with Marshall, if you think that's all right. And I couldn't think of a better group to do it than the Finance and Human Resource Committee to set something up, get on the board agenda for in January, which is the 14th. So I just think it's a special way to get him down there and to honor a guy that has put in over 50, almost 60 years in the village.
So FHR is going to organize that for the board.
You guys are good at that stuff. And then you control the purse strings, so.
Motion to adjourn?
Anybody have anything else? Nobody has anything else? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Trustee Grundon, Vice President Duncan, we stand adjourned.